Okay, apologies again. Emily decided that she was going to come in and have another little look at what I was doing. Okay, but we will continue with where we left off, and that was on page 13. And we've just been introduced to Tybalt, who is part of the Capulet family, and he's angry. He's not happy that Romeo has approached Juliet at this ball inside the Capulet household. Okay, we know these two families do not like one another, so he really doesn't like anybody that belongs to this Montague family. We know the Prince of Verona is somebody important in this story, and he has said that there is to be no fighting between these two families. Okay, so Lord Capulet has pulled back Tybalt and said, look, Prince of Verona said we can't fight. You're not going to cause any trouble tonight here at our ball. Okay, so let's see what happens next. Tybalt's face was ashen with rage. But tomorrow Romeo will boast to his friends about how he danced at the Capulet's ball and escaped without being noticed. He will make us look like fools. Lord Capulet put his hands on Tybalt's shoulders, forcing him to stop and listen. I hate the Montagues as deeply as you do, Tybalt, he said. Our two families have been at war with each other for as long as anyone can remember. But the prince's word is law in this city, and there is to be no fighting. Do you understand? Now, if you cannot keep your temper like a man, go to your room and sulk like a boy. Tybalt broke free from his uncle's grasp and glared across the room at Romeo. You will pay for this one day, Montague, he vowed softly. I will make you pay. So Tybalt is not happy that he can't go over and approach Romeo, okay, and give him a piece of his mind. Juliet glanced at the young man beside her, and his glossy brown hair and startlingly grey eyes that were filled with shyness and wonder. His mouth was curved in a half smile, and the thought made her blush just to look. Juliet found that she could not make her eyes from his face or her hand from his. She can't stop looking at him. She can't pull her hand away because she too is a little bit in a trance with Romeo. My lady, Romeo said, if my hand has offended yours by holding it, please forgive me. My hand is not offended, sir, said Juliet, smiling at him, and nor am I. Some power that neither of them understood had drawn them together like a moth to a flame. They kissed at the ballroom. The musicians and dancers seemed to disappear, leaving them feeling as though they were the only two people in the world. So straight away, this love between Romeo and Juliet is instant. As soon as they see one another, as soon as they touch one another's hand, they are completely in love with one another. When their lips parted, Romeo looked at Juliet and thought, all those other times when I thought I was in love, I was like a child playing a game. This time I am truly in love. I wonder, could she possibly feel the same? Before he could ask, an elderly woman bustled up to them. My lady, she said to Juliet, your mother is asking for you. Juliet frowned, shrugged helplessly at Romeo, then turned and walked away. Romeo caught the old woman by the arm. Do you know that lady? He demanded. Why, sir, yes, she is Juliet, Lord Capulet's daughter, said the woman. I've been her nurse since she was a baby, and I know who you are too, young man. Take my advice and leave this house before there's trouble. So that is the end of where we're going to read to today. That's the end of page 19, and we've just been introduced to another character on the Capulet side. So we've been introduced to a nurse who says to Romeo, look, I know who you are. It's not a good idea that you're here and you're going to get yourself into some serious trouble. So I would disappear if I were you. So she's not as strongly minded as Tybalt, who was ready to go and fight him. She's offered him a bit of advice and said, look, I can see that what's happening here between you and Juliet, but I suggest that you think again, young man. So from that first 19 pages, we'll call that our first chapter, if you like, because it doesn't have real chapters. Okay, we've established a few of the key characters and where their loyalty lies. Which family do they belong to, or do they not belong to one of the families at all? So we've got Juliet, Lord Capulet, Lady Capulet, Tybalt and the nurse, and then we have Romeo and Lord Montague on this side so far, and the Prince of Verona down here, who's not loyal to either side. He just wants them to stop fighting in his city. So there will be more characters to add to this, but for now, that's what you should have in your Blue Homeschool Learning book. What I would like you to do now as your task for today it will be to come up with 5 questions. So having just read that first 19 pages, what are you beginning to think? What questions do you want to ask, say, me or anybody else who knows the text or knows the story, to find out a little bit more about it? And the way I want you to do that is using the 5 key question starters. So the who, what, where, when, and why. So you should have 5 questions in your book by the end of this. Okay, one that starts with who, one that starts with what, and so on. Yeah, for all 5 of those question starters there. So for example, I personally want to know what started this fight between these 2 families. What makes Tybalt so angry and Lord Capulet so angry that Romeo's there at the party? So that could be my what question. What made all this fighting begin in the first place? Or, I don't know, who started the fighting between the 2 families? Why does Lord Capulet hate the Montagues so much? Could be something completely different. It could be something like, why has Romeo gone to the party in the first place? He knows it's in the Capulet house, so why is he bothered to go? Is he just being a bit of a rebel? We don't know. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. You should have 5 questions, okay, in your book written, starting with who, what, where, when, and why that you'd like to ask about this text based on what we've just read. And you should also have something that's very, very similar to that in your book as well, that just outlines the key characters. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. Again, if you don't understand fully, then please ask your parents just to email me and I'll be happy to help. And I look forward to seeing how you get on. Bye-bye.